Hello. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just talk to you. Thank you everybody for coming at 7 minutes past 12. I'm super impressed that we got to 4 pages of on Zoom. It's slightly different to our other events that we've run. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk a little bit about Accumulate and go through what's going to actually happen today. And yeah, use the chat box. If you've got any questions, nothing abusive, I hope. And then we'll just go through what's going to happen, and then we're going to see the participants. So here we go. Okay, so for those who haven't had the pleasure of knowing me, my name is Maurice Cumber, and I'm the director and founder of Accumulate, which is the art school for the homeless. So for anybody that wants to know a little bit more about Accumulate, what we do is we provide creative workshops for people affected by homelessness, which enables them to improve their lives, have more positive learning experiences, and get to express themselves and have a voice. Also, most importantly, it builds confidence and well-being, and that will help them further in whatever they want to do. And we do this through structured experiences, workshops, and activities, and these take place right across the year, pretty much like an art school, like it works in terms. So this year's project was the Book of Homelessness, and it is going to be the first ever anthology and collection of drawings and writings by people affected by homelessness. And what's most important about that is that it's actually their voice, and it gives them a sense of ownership. We started the project in January. We were attending every week, and you know, the students got together, they shared their stories, they built a community that they felt they belonged to, and most importantly, they were able to express themselves and tell their own story, not have somebody else tell it for them. And this is really, really important, because that element of ownership gave the people and gives our students identity and individuality, and that has often been taken away from people because they've been stereotyped and marginalized by society, and they've become a commodity. And then COVID struck. So that was what, about March, and within a week we had to sort of shut everything down. And then we had this sort of power phone call between all the tutors to decide what we were going to do. And what we decided to do was we were going to have online workshops, and we pivoted very, very, very quickly to make that happen. And those happened within a week. But also what we all did was send out art kits. And here's a selection of the art kits in my living room. The husband was not very happy, let me tell you. But we packed up 20 to start with, which just went to the Accumulate students. And very, very rapidly, those turned into 500. And we were sending out 500 art kits per week across London, also outside of London, to hostels, to recovery centres, to homes for care leavers. We also had requests from social prescribers who saw the kits as a means of well-being for their patients who were suffering with other issues of physical and mental health. And so this became a huge project that we are continuing to this day. I think this is the T-shirt project, where they had to, they got inside the pack, the T-shirt, a board, the pens, you know, instruction sheets. And there must be like, I don't know, 500 people walking around the UK now with their own designed T-shirt. So we also did online workshops, and here's an example of one that we did, and we're doing those weekly. At the moment, we're up to 4 workshops per week. So that's, you know, great. And it means that people who may feel isolated and vulnerable can get together and communicate and do something positive and proactive at this time, and actually, you know, move towards a further journey. This, I think, is a podcast workshop. Yeah, this is for the Museum of Youth Culture, where we're doing some podcasts for them. And then Accumulate also fundraises for scholarships. We've got a unique partnership with Ravensbourne University London, and every year we award scholarships to successful Accumulate students who have applied for the Access course at Ravensbourne. So far, we've awarded 14 scholarships. 14 people have gone through the Access course from Accumulate. 4 of them have gone on to degrees, and this year another 4 will go. That's incredible. It's completely life-changing, and it just shows you how much art and creative learning is a tool for social change and impact. So what's going to happen today? Well, the first thing is you can only speak if you're unmuted, which is great for me, but Williams is the one actually in control. And you can add, as I said, all your comments in the chat box. This is a very different experience. For those of you who were at the Guardian exhibition a couple of years ago, you know that we were chucked out. Well, the security got very heavy with us because there were so many people. Very different experience. You know, we can have up to 300 on this call, and you're welcome to stay. Nobody's going to throw you out. But there's no wine this year, okay? So you're just going to have to make do unless you're an early drinker with a cup of tea or some water. We're going to be showcasing some of the Accumulate participants' creative work, what they've done across the year, both the Book of Homelessness project and also the online workshops and the art kits. And then 3 Accumulate students are going to do readings from the work that they have produced for the Book of Homelessness, which we're very excited about. And then Jay Blades is going to be talking to creative lead tutor Tori Taiwo about his life and career. A big advance thank you, Jay, for that. We're very, very excited. And then that will be followed finally by the awarding of the scholarships and those will be going to Accumulate students who will be progressing onto the Access course at Ravensbourne. So that's about it. Let's get going. We're going to start with the creative workshops. Williams is at the control, and now I sort of can take a little bit of a bow out. Thank you. Brilliant. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it was an amazing year. The participants, we call them like students now, went through a lot because they had to go from that transition from, you know, an actual workshop into this online. But you can just see from the breadth of work that has been produced, both for the Book of Homelessness and on the online workshops, actually the level of creativity and the commitment and the openness that those students gave to the rest of us. They really worked together as a group, and literally there was sometimes, I remember that with Tori, we just kept taking up more and more chairs. I mean, we really were very, very busy at one point, but it was an amazing group and an amazing community, and I'm really excited that actually now the Book of Homelessness is going to be published later this year. We're planning for November, ready in time for those Christmas sales. And if we're allowed to, then we will be doing the actual launch in January. So literally it's like a six-month delay. So now we're going to have some readings from 3 Accumulate students. This is the work that they've produced for the Book of Homelessness. And first of all, we're going to have Luke Smith.
Everyone. Okay, shall I just start?
Yeah, we can start.
The loopy life of Luke in London. So I lived in a small seaside town where nothing happened, just fields of greenery and water. Yes, for most people it's nice, but for me, I felt quite out of place, especially since throughout school I was constantly bullied for being flamboyant and a bit more over the top than everyone else. With my crazy hair colour choices and daring outfits, it was clear that this town wasn't for me. Growing up, I always loved music, fashion, and anything relating to the arts. I had an interest for the camera, and I have been singing for as long as I can remember. But growing up in a town where everyone lived under a rock and never set foot outside of the village, I always wondered how could I ever pursue any of these things, especially as my confidence had been totally knocked over the years. As I got older, the verbal abuse from other people got worse. It was about my sexuality, about the way I dressed and how I presented myself. I felt I couldn't tell anyone as I felt judged by near enough everybody. The only people I could tell and rely on were my mum and dad, who luckily were great about the way I was. However, I didn't want to worry them, so I would always cover up my bruises and carry on as normal. As I got into my 20s, the village never changed, opinions never changed, everything was always the same. Then I was attacked outside of my mum's house. After having broken ribs and black eyes and absolutely no cooperation from the police, I knew I needed to leave that village. I knew I needed to chase my dreams and socialise with people that actually understood me. But how was this going to happen? So many questions were on my mind. And then, out of nowhere, an old family member who I hadn't spoken to in years gave me the chance to move to the big city. It was like all my dreams come true at once. So I packed up and headed to the city. I was scared and nervous as I'd always lived with my parents until then. And I was sad to leave them, but they knew and I knew that this was exactly what I needed. And I don't think I could have expected what was going to happen over the coming years. As I settled in and started to make friends, I began planning what auditions I was going to, what creative industry was I going to get into. I was in the city, the world was my oyster. I landed a job in a gay bar. It was crazy to me. I'd never seen so many people like me all in one room. Although, like I was a fish out of water, I mingled and made more friends, and it was the first time I actually found people that got me, that understood me. However, as I started to get out more and more, things became really cloudy. I got myself a job in retail during the day and a job in a nightclub in the evenings. This nightclub pretty much opened all weekend and it eventually took a toll on me. As months went by, I found myself at random parties. I hardly had any sleep from one day to the next. The people around me I thought were part of a community. And whilst I never did think that it would be all rainbows and unicorns, somehow I never imagined it would really be this messy. I couldn't have been more wrong. As days and nights blurred, my perception of everyone and everything grew fuzzy. My dreams and ambitions got pushed to the back of my mind. I had to move out of the house I was living in. The daughter of the woman who owned the house needed to move back in. That's when things really started spiraling out of control. I was ready to leave and move back home. London was my new home, wasn't it? As the next months went on, I ended up staying on people's sofas, rough sleeping around London. I wasn't giving up. However, my choices during this time were not the right ones. I then met someone, an older guy. I'd never been in a serious relationship before, or even met anyone like me, especially from the town I was from. And it was fun for a while. I felt like I was escaping, but I was just making more and more bad choices. After a few months of dating and sleepless nights, I could tell the guy had some serious issues, especially when it comes to his sexuality. I knew how it felt to be isolated, so I wanted to try and help. That's when he decided to take it out on me, and I was yet again being attacked, and this time by someone I liked. Luckily, things ended with this person that I was dating. However, I was still not in the right frame of mind. I had shaved off my hair and I felt I needed to start again. And obviously my mind wasn't all there. I was still sofa surfing and trying to survive the tough life of the London scene. Not really knowing which people were my friends or who really was there for me, I had to try and be strong and continue with my original plans. I didn't know then how vulnerable I was, especially after everything that had happened. Then usually I met someone new, charming and handsome. I thought this was the one to protect me. I felt like I was falling in love for the very first time and that this was the new start. Wrong again. The first few months were great, at least I thought so at the time. Nights of walking around the streets because we had nowhere to go. I wasn't allowed at his because he wasn't out to his family. So we would have to go to parties all night just to stay somewhere, stay on people's sofas. It was really unhealthy situation, and it obviously was just not right at the time. I had completely forgotten about all my hopes and dreams and instead focused on moving closer to the person who I thought was the one. I'd never met anyone that was so nice to me and someone who I thought understood me. However, I started to notice friends turning into enemies. He had put in my head that I couldn't trust these people, and to be honest, no one had given me any reason to. About a year passed and things started to change. After sofa surfing and walking the streets for many nights, losing near enough everyone I knew, things started unravelling about the guy that I thought was my saviour. Things like him lying about his name and me discovering he'd been to prison many times. I wasn't one to judge, and I know a lot of people have some sort of past, but unfortunately, due to either my stupidity, trust, or naivety, this is when it all just started going really bad. We started living together and things started to get really nasty. I ended up having no money and no one to rely on apart from him. I wasn't allowed to see anyone, see any of my friends. Then the abuse started happening. He controlled me when I left the house and where I was going, and I had no one to tell. He'd smash up all my phones so I couldn't call anyone. I was so angry with myself. What happened to me? What happened to the fun, loud, eccentric, happy Luke that once was? In any domestic violence relationship, you always think that they will change. He didn't change. It just got worse. Knowing full well what had happened to me in previous years, this still didn't stop the monster from doing what he did. From the moment I first fell in love, he had me right where he wanted me, and I was locked in a room for days. I would also wake up to being strangled, having belts whacked across my legs. I was repeatedly told no one liked me because I was gay, and that my family and friends didn't care because otherwise they would be there with me. I started to believe all this. Time went by and I began to fight daily on the street, on the train with him. There would be blood, bruises and scratches, and I hated the person I had started to become. Then one morning I was staying at a parent's house. I went downstairs to make a coffee and I was shaken by my partner and his brother fighting. Then out of nowhere, I hear, "I'm going to cut your boyfriend." He then grabbed a big kitchen knife and plunged it into my leg. I didn't notice at first. My leg was stiff. I walked out in the garden, looked down, and I was soaked in blood. I ran out the house and down the road and collapsed, and an old man and lady saw me and brought me into their house, wrapping blankets around me, waiting for the ambulance to arrive. The police and ambulance came. All I kept saying was, "I can't die here and not in this outfit, not today," which the police called me a tart. Even in the worst situation, I was still trying to be funny and keep my spirits about me. I was rushed from Essex to Whitechapel Hospital where they deal with stabbings. I had 12 stitches in my leg and I was in a wheelchair. The brother was arrested as they found him hiding in someone's garden a few streets away from his house. However, I was too scared to pursue with charges. Even after this, I stayed with my partner. I felt bad for him. After all, it was his brother who had stabbed me, not him. A friend, the only one I could talk to when I got the chance, told me I needed to leave or I'd end up dead or in prison. Time went by and months passed with me on crutches. I finally plucked up the courage to leave him, and I couldn't have been more prouder. However, the emotional damage it had done had taken a toll on me. I moved into a hostel not far from him where I made some friends, and I tried to get over the damage. For months and months, I have been bombarded with abuse from my ex-partner, texts. He was also getting people to follow me, and in shops, it was just hell. Then suddenly it stopped. I knew something had happened. That's when I saw that he had been put behind bars again. Although I was scared, it was a huge relief. I moved out of this house share, which I moved into a new house share, which totally turned out to be unsafe. I ended up being attacked again due to my sexuality. People used my name to get cars out. I didn't want to leave the house. The police were useless. I kept thinking, how did it all come to this after everything? One day I came home and the whole house was smashed to pieces and everyone had left. I then moved back in with my mum and dad, but I wasn't ready to give up the city just yet. I hadn't done anything that I had gone there for. Instead, I had just partied, got caught up with the wrong crowd and fallen in love with the devil. I got help from a domestic violence refuge organisation that supports LGBT people, as it wasn't really spoke about back then. I took the opportunity to move back to London. After living in different hostels, I moved into a hostel named Evolve. And now things started to change for the better. I got involved with different projects. I worked on the radio with the Brit School and won an award. Then I found a leaflet for a photography course and decided to give it a go. I remember turning up to the Strand and meeting Maurice from Accumulate for the very first time. There were so many people there from all different backgrounds with different struggles, and everyone was here to get into the creative arts, and it was just what I needed. Weeks went by and I just dedicated to myself and stayed focused on the photography course. Our final exhibition show was in the gallery in the Guardian building in King's Cross. My work was there on display. It was such a great moment for me, and I never thought that this would happen. They then announced that I had won a scholarship to study at Ravensbourne University in London. I couldn't believe it. All this hard work and passion had paid off. I had never been to uni or even thought about it due to my grades being so bad in school from the amount of bullying that I experienced. So I finally felt like the bullies had not won after all. I felt appreciated and had the opportunity to show people my talent. I've always wanted to be on TV and I've always wanted to work in that sort of industry in the creative arts. So when we got the chance to appear on Good Morning Britain, it was just amazing. We appeared on London Live twice and ITV to talk about our struggles and show there is a silver lining if you focus on your dreams and work hard. Now, I have moved into my own place for the first time ever. I lasted in university way, way longer than I ever thought I would. Although I didn't pass my degree due to ongoing mental health issues that I've never really overcome, I did so much that I've always wanted to do and found creative friends and workshops that have just been amazing. I'm now a member of Crisis and involved in the creative side, like making the brochures and the websites. I've also made a documentary film about my experiences as I support people from the LGBT community who are fighting for a roof over their heads, but may not have been taken seriously due to their sexuality. Accumulate have really helped me again to get my confidence back, helped me regain my creativity, and it's made me feel very appreciated. I've got to see places I never thought I would, experience different things, and really learn about the true nature of creativity and art. All the reasons that I moved to City in the first place, working at Somerset House and having a gallery in London Arts Museum are things I never thought that would happen. And all I can say, it's great to know I can help others along the way. And I'm not sure what my next chapter is, but I feel like this is just the beginning.
Oh, look, you made me cry even more than usual.
Sorry.
That was very beautiful and so honest and so brave of you. And yeah, it was very, yeah, I really congratulate you and commend you on telling that and sharing that with so many. So thank you,
Thank you
very much. Thank you. All right. Oh my goodness. Right. So now,
okay, if I get a drink quickly.
You can go and get a drink, of course. Lovely. All right. So now, Jade, AMALIA Jackson, could you do your story, please? We are muting her, Williams.
Yeah, I've just unmuted her. So Jade, unmute yourself.
Okay, I've done it. Thank you.
Brilliant.
I'm Jade from Clapham Junction. And as Jack was saying, I'm so grateful to join Accumulate.
Oh, no.
Because we are treated like humans. Even if I'm with others, which treat me like a human being, like the Freedom from Torture, Right to Life group, Refugee Council, Women for Refugee Women. So, woo-hoo, we are humans again. My story is about my about how I was tortured from the country I called home. So it is called tortured by my own brothers. Growing up, we had it all. Loving mother and father. Our mother was from a very rich family, and dad was a school teacher, a farmer, and later became a head teacher and a reverend. Sadly, my mom's elder brother thought riches was everything, even if our dad was earning his own money from teaching and from his livestock. It was not enough for our greedy uncle's lifestyle. One day, when we were very young, he drove to our house when our dad had gone to get teacher's salary from the head office. Uncle Laban came and took our mom, our brother, my twin sister, and me to our grandparents' home, where we went to live, leaving our father alone. We lived with our grandparents until when we were 3 years old, and our brother 4.5 years old. And one day our father came and took us back home without our mother because she had already been forced to marry a police officer and lived in the city. We did not know where that was. We really missed our mom and knew that she might never come back to us soon. Dad was the best dad, even if he was living with 3 little children. He provided us with all the good things a parent can give to his children, including love and support. We lived with our dad until when we were 5 years old, before he remarried the woman we nicknamed stepmother from hell and a wicked witch because she was all those names. She treated us like slaves. We were beaten. We were worked from very early mornings to very late nights. And on top of that, we were given very little food at that very young age. We were happy during school days because even if we got up very early in the morning to go and fetch water from Lake Quania or Lake Victoria, which was more than 5 miles from home, so we had to run to and fro, making sure we got to school early because we feared the punishment for being late. We did our homework at school because there was no time at home, as we were punished if our stepmother caught us doing the schoolwork. One day she caught us doing our schoolwork, which angered us so much that she threw all our school books in the pit toilet. We cried ourselves to sleep. Our father, being a school teacher and a head teacher, decided to let us keep our school books locked up in a cupboard at school. We cooked, grinded millet, and our brother kept the compound clean We also took goats, sheep, cattle grazing and drinking water 5 miles away from home. Luckily, we had cousins who helped him with that. Otherwise, it would have been the hardest for a little boy. On the other hand, the two of us never got any help from our two stepsisters, who are already grown-up women. They only knew how to eat and sleep around. And luckily, both of them got pregnant. And because of that, our evil stepmother, I think because of shame, had to send them back to live with their grandmother. We celebrated quietly, talking hours with the signs which we had invented for the three of us, which no one knew, even our dad. We shared a big bed, which was for my mother, and I think our dad did not want to share it with Miss Evil. Therefore, the four of us shared it, and we were forced to sleep at the baseboard. And they would sleep with their feet on us, kicking and farting was a norm to us, because that is what they did to punish us. During meal times, we were only allowed to take one piece of bean each, my twin sister and me, and chewed for 10 minutes while they were eating like hungry lions. Our brother used to keep food in his pocket for us wherever he could, because he ate with our cousins, while girls ate differently. When our father was around or came in the kitchen and talked to us, she would quickly change to Miss Nice, telling us, "Oh, you eat or wash yourself." As soon as Dad left to go to the sitting room to mark children's homework, Miss Nice went through the roof and Evil came back in a flash. It went on until when we had passed our examination and went to the junior school. And by then we were 8 and our brother had already left for his boarding school. In addition, we became free from her and went to live with Auntie Rebecca, who spoiled us rotten. For the first time, we were truly loved and happy like our mother and father did before greedy uncle took her away from us. Our uncle, the brother whom our mother followed, also became a president, and we would go and live with him and his family from time to time during the holidays. Therefore, after suffering for so many years, we were at last free. We finished university, got good jobs. My sister was an engineer. I worked with television and radio, and our brother worked in agriculture, got married, had children. One day, it really changed when my sister and my dad were shot dead at home when they were taking tea. My twin sister Jane had gone to visit our dad, and I was supposed to have gone together with her, but my daughter was not feeling well. So she went alone and met her death without me. Yet we were twins. It was the worst time because 2 years earlier, my husband was killed because he had refused to work with the soldiers who took over power illegally and were killing so many people. My sister was always my pillar, and because of her children and my children, I struggled on, and my mother was there to give a hand and love, though she too was also suffering because she had lost her daughter and our dad, who was the love of her life. Otherwise, I would have committed suicide. She was forced to marry former police officer, but she left him, came back to our dad, as Dad was not happy with our stepmother from hell, and had earlier left her too. And Mom was the love of his life. Good enough, Dad did not put a ring on our stepmom, a mother's finger, because it was a traditional marriage. Mom still had the wedding ring put on her finger several years ago by our dad, which was cut off years later when it became too tight. When it became too tight on her finger. They say love is blind. When my husband refused to join the present government, I also gave up my job at the television and radio and went and lived in the town my husband was born in, Gulu. We started so many businesses. We had so many acres of land where we kept our livestock, over 200 heads of cattle. We also had goats, sheep, chickens, and ducks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was incredible, Jade. Thank you. Such a hard story. And I have to say that Jade, from all the accumulated students, is super committed. You can always rely on Jade to attend our sessions, and you really are like a mother to the rest of the students, so thank you.
Hi, my name is AMALIA. I'm a multidisciplined artist, writer and poet. I just want to say I'm so grateful to know personally both Jade and Luke. I wasn't expecting to even speak about my experience, but the vulnerability that has been shown has inspired me. Jade calls me her daughter every time we meet, and it's just a blessing to really have this space for both of us. And I love you, Jade. I love you so much. Maurice isn't going to like this, but she is the most humble, amazing, special, grateful, grounded, beautiful person I've had the pleasure to get to know this year. And I'm so thankful for Accumulate. I just firstly want to start off, before I begin my poem, to take you all on some guided meditation with breath work. This lockdown has been a little bit intense for a lot of us, especially in the conditions that we are under. And feel free, this is voluntary, but I would love you to join me in taking a deep breath. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 6. So if you want to join me now, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4. And breathe out for 6. And if you aren't already, close your eyes. We're going to do that again. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 4. That's it. And let go for 6. Let the sound bowl guide you and heal you and nourish your soul. We'll do that one more time. In for 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Beautiful. Out for 6. Yes. Hi. I've been part of Accumulate since January. I've changed my poem, Maurice. I hope that's okay. I've heard the story and I'm really buzzing to really read you a bit of my experience. I wasn't preparing a speech. I am a poet, so I just read what I've got. But I was victim of child abuse in the family home. I had to live there until the age of 19. Drugs, drink, uncomfortable living situations, which you will hear about in the poem. And I made a choice. I made a choice to move away 100 miles to Derby, a black woman in the middle of the East Midlands. It was not really the vibe at the time. I was outcasted for my colour. I was the only Afro-Caribbean student in the foundation degree, the only woman that was a black woman in the foundation degree. and it was a hard time. I carried a lot of trauma, and I also carried a lot of anger for my perpetrator. I wanted to just run away and escape. I came back to London after a year and a half of not getting any grades. I was reading poetry online, getting a lot of, you know, good feedback, but really feeling not with myself. I wasn't grounded in that experience and in that reality because I was so traumatized. So I contacted Greenwich Council. They couldn't help me. My story wasn't in the present moment, it was child abuse. So they said I had to get a job, and, you know, so when I'm 23 now, so at 19, I was just moving around different areas, sleeping on sofas with people I didn't know, similar to a few of the situations that people have been in, just putting myself in uncomfortable situations. And then at 20 years old, after a year of living in Essex and Birmingham, in trap houses and all these type of places that you don't want to find yourself as a young woman, I told my story to the council, and they put me in a young women's refuge. I stayed in a young women's refuge in Islington, and yeah, you can imagine the type of people that are in there having experienced their experiences. 6 months there, and then for 6 months I moved into a hostel, and that was in between the times of having trauma in your mind. When you have trauma, you don't remember things on the timeline because everything happens in that present moment. So what I'd done was I moved to my dad's house, told me I couldn't live with him anymore, and then by the grace of God, I got temporary accommodation where I'm staying now. And I just want to tell everybody out there who's got a situation that you can heal from it, you can overcome it. We're all going through something, and we're all unique in our own special way, and we're all guided in our own way, and we all have an angel up there that's looking after us. So I wish you all the best in this time, and I'm going to read you something. It's called 3:41 a.m. And thank you to Accumulate. Thank you. I'll tell you how I feel. Eating tin fruit, can't afford a meal. Thinking, what can I do? There's minus in my bank. How do you think I feel? I feel scared for real. I can't provide a plate, but I'm never unappreciative. Make no mistakes. My stomach, it hurts. And I stay up all night. But this is a war that I will win the fight. My mum was a single mother. I had 3 brothers. Shit, I couldn't help. Having no hot water, ripped mattresses, and no quilt. Maybe, just maybe, I inherited the lack of frequency from her. Maybe I was scarred from birth, but with these words, I'm changing the frequency. I've got love in my heart and no money to eat. I manifest food wherever I go. I got energy to speak from my throat. And when I become rich, I will never, ever, ever gloat. I will give back to Maurice because I know how much it hurts. I avoid the luxury aisle because you dread how much it's worth. Haven't shopped in 22 days. Haven't seen a hard food on the plate. Make no mistakes. This is how I was born and raised. But I raised the frequency from poverty. And this is deep. I feel injustice, but I can't pass the blame. Because when I'm rich, I will pass the plates for everybody. I'm rich already. And money can't change my worth. But I wish I'd had food because my tummy, it bursts. I can't complain. I ate food from the tins. Little ones are eating food from the bins. No roof and no heating. Nothing they do can survive. Nothing can they do to survive. I realise I'm grateful for the times that I've cried and keep breathing with me. I'm grateful for food banks, hostels and the cooks and the donations. Weekly cupboards were never ever vacant. I don't eat bacon. I'm vegan, I don't eat bacon. That is haram. It does harm, but if I must, I need to eat. I'm grateful I have shoes on my feet. I've been writing since 15, but with the trauma, it's maybe 8. I don't remember, okay? I don't know. I've been up from 10 a.m. I don't know what I'm gonna eat, but it's 3:30 and I'm wide awake because I cannot sleep. And sometimes I feel the greed, but this night there's a need to ask for help. Ask for help. You don't need to starve. My blood needs to renew. I can't sleep. But shit, I remember the days I could hardly breathe. I remember the times that my mum would see me cry and she'd say, Marley, wipe your eyes, because there's light sometimes. There's light sometimes. Buying Chinese with her last pound. This was a luxury. Dad got us KFC. Life was so sweet. I remember watching Brats upon the TV screen. They look healthy, but I hardly had anything to eat. And now I'm crying inside. Who can I ask for help? Isn't it our right to food and our mental health? I feel confused because on the news, all my brothers and sisters are dying from famine, but so far I've managed. I won't make this lack of frequency a habit. I'll remember to shop and I'll remember to budget and I might shop in budgeons and I'll eat all that I can and give back to my people crying and starving. Give back to my brothers, Simba, Ryan and Marvin. This late night, things are getting so jarring. But I just wrote this banger with a couple bars in. Peace and love. From AMALIA, I love you and thank you for the opportunities you've created for me and everybody on the team. And keep on breathing and keep on smiling. Thank you.
Oh. Thank you, super talented AMALIA. Brilliant writer, brilliant visual artist, so much potential. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with you. Okay, thank you so much. Right, a lot later than anticipated. Sorry for that. I'm really sorry, Jade, it's taking a lot longer.
No, it's cool. Listen, don't be sorry. Let me just pause you for a minute. The people that just spoke, wow, I've had to deal with a few things, but my headphones have been on. Luke, extremely powerful. And what you've overcome, Luke, and still overcoming with mental health issues, and I know that all too well. All I can say is, yeah, there is a struggle, but you've been through it, and I believe you're just going to go forward. Jade, oh, wow. Like, I am humbled by your story, Jade. I am unbelievably humbled. And I didn't catch the lady's name at the beginning of the poem, 3:41 a.m.
AMALIA.
AMALIA. Sometimes people say things that touch you, and all three of you have touched me in a way that has allowed me to smile, to cry, and to understand. And it's I cannot explain enough that your stories move me in a particular way. That it's a human story, and there's a lot of people that go through a number of things, and some people will never be as brave as you guys to explain that to an audience that you don't know, and that shows some form of courage that there's not a lot of people that have that. So I can only thank all three of you from the bottom of my heart, and thank you for allowing me to listen to your stories, because they are, and excuse the French, I know I'm on TV, you don't hear me swear and all that kind of stuff. It's fucking powerful. What the fuck? Really? Like, all three of you, like, bam, 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 one after another. You just hit me in a place. Yeah, I've had some stuff happen to me, but I've never heard stuff like that in my entire life. I've never experienced stuff like that in my entire life. And I've never met three courageous people in my entire life like that. So I thank you for being part of my journey, because you've woke me up. So yeah, ask me what you want to ask me, but I'm just lost now. I'm lost. Sorry.
Okay. Go on, Marie. Do you want to say?
Yeah. So just thank you, Jade. And what's going to happen now for everybody else is Tori and Jade just going to have a bit of a chat about like life and you know, progressing forward, which I think is really the message for today, from places that maybe people have felt quite desperate in and lost, and actually how to move forward. And that's part of what actually Accumulate tries to achieve as well. So over to you, Tori, and use the chat box for questions. I'm sorry that we're muting you, and I'm really conscious that it's now already 1 o'clock. Okay, so go ahead.
Thank you, Maurice. Hey, Jay.
How you doing? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. I can't complain.
Great stuff. So my name's Tori. Hi, I'm the lead tutor from Accumulate, and I'm also a previous homeless young person as well. So I can definitely relate with like a lot of the stories, and a lot of people have like condensed their stories, but they're honestly like so powerful. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Maurice, for being the catalyst for all of this, honestly. So thank you. Okay, so Jay, you said that, you know, you can relate to certain things. So for those that don't know your story or your journey, in your own words, can you give us a brief overview?
A brief overview of my journey is born and bred in Hackney, single parent, and I would say I've had a really interesting life. I'm not going to explain too much because there's a book coming out. You guys don't have to buy the book, so don't worry about. I'm not plugging it in that way. You'll more than likely get a free copy to all of you guys, so don't worry about that. But in my life, it's had a very interesting journey. But 5 years ago, I decided to go voluntary homeless, which basically means I left the family house, and I just drove. I didn't know exactly where I was going. Really and truly, what I wanted to do was just drive into a wall, is what I wanted to do, because my brain, my mindset was not in a good place. So couldn't find a wall to drive into. The car had run out of petrol, and pulled into a petrol station, bought some cigarettes, and I put about £5, I think it was, of petrol in my car, and didn't know what I was going to do. I slept in the car for about 3 days, and then a friend of mine who was in Wolverhampton came and got me because the police had identified me as missing, and they put an alert out for me, and they got my number plate, and that's how they found me. He then come and adopted me into his family, and 5 years kind of later, I have 4 shows on the BBC presenting around craft and stuff like that, and that's what I enjoyed doing. So in a very quick synopsis, that's my kind of journey.
Okay, thank you. So in regards to, because I guess effectively you were homeless for a period of time.
Yes.
So I assume you were sofa surfing and stuff like that as well, or before your friend?
No, I slept in my car. That's where I was. So it's not sofa surfing as much. It's like car park surfing. So you go into these car parks and you just sleep in a car park. Like you can go into, you know, the ones that have like Home Base and Argos and all those ones.
That are just open.
They're just open. Just park up, boom, that's it. Sometimes you get the security guards come up to you and chat their stupidness or whatever. But yeah, that's what used to happen. And I remember before, I was homeless before. I was homeless when I was younger. Came back to London and stayed in the Salvation Army in Elephant and Castle. And yeah, but that will be in the book. But yeah, recently car park surfing is what I did.
Okay. So in your own words, how would you say being homeless, I guess twice, if effectively, how has that affected you as a person?
Do you know what? It's kind of affected me in a way where when you're at the bottom, it's almost as if you can't go no lower. The only lower you can go is to die. That's it. Just, it's all over. So from the bottom, the only way is up. And I look at every day as a blessing. Everything I get is a blessing. Everything I get exposed to now is a blessing, because it's like, wow, I might not have even been here. Where I was 5 years ago, it was a place where nobody wants to go. So yeah, for me, hitting rock bottom is actually a blessing. It's a curse and a blessing, I would say.
So essentially hardships have kind of like taught you stuff about yourself.
Hardships have been really, really good for me. So growing up, I didn't have much money. So we had to make do and mend. I had a lot of hand-me-downs, and I had hand-me-downs from uncles that weren't the same size as me. It was an interesting time. Like when you grew up, where I grew up, it was like, if you wanted a sweet biscuit, mum will put some sugar on a cracker and say, there's your sweet biscuit. you know you couldn't really ask for too much. You got given what you was given, and that was it. You had to eat it, because if you don't eat that, there's nothing else. So hardship helped me out. Yeah, it helped me out immensely.
So in regards to, obviously, a lot of, like, we say hardships, but a lot of less hard lessons along the way. Can you recall a time or a moment when you thought, oh, like, this is going to get better? Like, was there like a turning point at any point? I'm sure there's quite a few turning points. Was there a point when you was like, you know, you said that, oh, your friend took you in, and then 5 years later you're on TV. It's kind of like, whoa, that's a big jump. Do you know what I mean? Like, was there any point that you thought, oh my God, like, this is, I'm gonna get up now. Like, I was at the bottom, I'm gonna get up. Is there any point you can remember that happening?
Do you know what? Yeah, personally for me, no. I would say no, because the one thing that I'm very aware of is when you're down, what I found is when I was growing up in the areas that I grew up in, a lot of people made it, but no one looks back. And when they don't look back, it's kind of like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be that person. Right. So now that I'm getting up and I'm starting to stand up and I'm achieving what I'm achieving, I'm not looking at that as if that is me, brilliant, well done, happy days. The thing for me is when I'm able to give back to the community or give back to people who I'm never going to meet, that's me standing up. So I haven't had that moment where it's like, oh yeah, this is it. I don't actually look back at the 5 years I'm on the BBC now. If I ain't supporting people, or if I'm not giving people an opportunity or an experience to say, you know what, I can do that. I want to be that person where Jay is and what have you. Yeah, come and take over. My whole motto when I was running charities is about working myself out of a job. So getting young people, inspiring them to be the next leaders. That's what it's all about. So yeah, I kind of haven't answered the question because I can't. Sorry.
Okay, so I guess there isn't anything that you would change then. Like, you know, people ask you, like, is there anything you would change or do differently? Is there anything you wouldn't? Like, you feel like your journey is your journey and this is where you're meant to be, and you went through what you went through?
I think everything I've been through, everything. And I've been through some trials and tribulations. And basically, it's made me who I am today. If I hadn't gone through all of that stuff, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be rich, and I wouldn't have the kind of experience that I needed to then talk to people or do what I do. I'm very similar to the three people that spoke earlier. Like, if they hadn't, I know it's going to sound bad what I'm saying, but if they hadn't have gone through that experience, how brave would they be? Listening to them now, they are unbelievably brave in the sense of can talk about that story, show compassion, show emotion to it. And it's like, you know what? That's absolutely inspiring for everybody. Everybody should hear those stories, really.
Yeah.
Truly. And it's because of what they went through.
Yeah, I can definitely relate. There's some hardships you go through and you feel like, I wouldn't be as strong as I am if I didn't go through what I went through. So I can definitely relate with that. Okay, so I have a question. Is there anything you would tell your younger self? If you had advice for your younger self, what advice would you have given your younger self?
Just enjoy, man. Enjoy life as much as you possibly can, because the
highs and the lows, all of it.
All of it, all of it. I've had people hold knives to my throat. I've had people hold a gun to my head. Like, all of those experiences are very. When you reflect upon them and you realize, oh, hold on a minute, there's a reason why I'm here. There's a reason why. If you've been abused to the extent where some people get abused, where on the point of dying and they haven't died, there's a reason for them surviving. And once you realize that reason, it's like, wow, like all of that has got me here. So I wouldn't tell my younger self, don't do this, don't do that. I'll say, enjoy all of it. Just do what you're doing, because it's going to take you somewhere. Yeah, it's going to take you somewhere.
Okay, so moving on from experiences in terms of where you are now, in terms of life and career and stuff like that, do you think there is a reason why, because amongst our participants and our students, there's a lot of creative people. In fact, everyone's creative, and everyone wants to make it, and everyone wants to do amazing things. Do you think there is a reason why some creative people struggle to like make it, and I say make it in air quotes, where others don't? Is there like a certain thing they should do or shouldn't do, or formula, or what? Like,
there isn't really a formula. I think the thing with us as creatives, what we lack is the business side of things. So business is what it's all about, because being a creative, everybody can create, and it's how you sell that creativity. That's the main thing that sustains your creativity. So if you are allowed to sell your stuff, or you captured the art of, okay, how can I sell this product? That's what will keep your creativity flowing, because someone's buying your product. Whereas when someone doesn't buy your product, sad state of affairs is you're not going to be creative anymore, and you're going to be very disheartened. So I think as creatives, we need to look at the side of business. And when you look at the side of business, then you can see, okay, this is how it works. So the only thing I could say to show you an example of that is music. There's a lot of creative people in music, and you've got the business side. So you've got the distribution, you've got the record labels and all that stuff. So they sell that product to us, whether it's on tour, whether it's the clothing line that they're coming out, or whether it's just the song. There's a way that they market that music to us. And it's the same thing with art. It's the same thing with any form of creativity. Once you're creating it, you have to look at marketing it. And sometimes people create stuff that's not marketable in the sense of the market's not ready for it. So I know when I was designing certain things, there's some things that I've designed and it hasn't sold. There's some things that I never knew was going to sell and then sell. And there's some things I know, like, bam, that will sell. As soon as I put it up, bam, it's gone. So it's just understanding business, understanding marketing, and understanding your creativity, where it fits within this world at the moment.
That makes sense. All right, so last question.
Cool.
What advice, as an artist to artist, creative to creative, okay, previous homeless person.
Yeah, cool.
What advice would you have artists that were in the position that you were? Because obviously in times when you was homeless, I don't know how creative you were at that point, or when your friend took you in, or how creative you were, if you were creative at any point. What advice would you give to people that are in, the businesses they are in now, not necessarily a safe or a solid, household or roof over their head, that are also creative? What advice would you have for them?
I think the one thing I always say to people is to plan to avoid disappointment. So always plan as into what you want to achieve. So if you want to sell your creative, like whatever you're making, if you want to sell it, just make sure you plan. You look at the market, you look at who you're selling it to, you look at how much you need to sell it for, and then do some research as into the people that will buy that. So when I'm looking at my products, basically I'm selling secondhand furniture. And the majority of the time when I started in this industry, secondhand furniture was sold to people on low income. So it was mainly for people who was just coming out of either care or people coming out of prison and all that kind of stuff. And I knew that wasn't going to be sustainable. So I needed to associate myself to brands that were high end. So those high end brands were fabric designers or chairs that were designed by a certain manufacturer. So I knew I had to make those desirable objects, and I need to make those desirable objects to appeal to a certain market. So let's say, for instance, you guys have done a exhibition at the Guardian. So I wanted it for Guardian readers, people that read Living, etc., people that read Vogue, Interiors, and all that kind of stuff. That's who I wanted to appeal to. And I marketed done my market research on those people and then how to approach them. So I avoided disappointment by understanding who I'm marketing to, who I want to sell to make me sustainable. And when I fell down 5 years ago and I started to dust myself off and pick myself up, I took the same principles, that I needed to create a desirable object that would appeal to those people. And those people have the money. So they don't necessarily want to make it themselves, because anybody can do what I do, really and truly. It's another form of upcycling. And it's kind of, some people call it lux cycling because it's the luxury end. And anybody can do that. But it's how you apply it, how you take a picture, and how you put it in front of those people who have the money. And that's basically it. Because I'm selling furniture that's more expensive than John Lewis. And I'm just little old me in this workshop. I have a brilliant team around me, but it's really and truly, we're selling secondhand furniture. And how can someone who was homeless 5 years ago be selling selling stuff that's more expensive than John Lewis? And it's selling. How does that work out? So there is a kind of formula, and I think that's the same with anything that you're marketing, anything. But you have to do your market research. If you don't do that, the problem is you won't sell.
It becomes more like guesswork rather than you actually doing things targeted. Like if you're doing things and you haven't done your market research, you're kind of like guessing, and everything becomes a bit of a gamble. Whereas if you do your market research, you know who you're marketing to, you're more likely to, not necessarily going to, but more likely to succeed. More likely to sell,
likely to succeed. And if you don't sell, the sad state of affairs is when you don't sell an item, or you don't get praise for what your creativity has produced, you feel really down. I guarantee it, it's not a good look.
Nice.
It's not nice at all. You know what I mean? It's almost as if it's like, I like this. Why is nobody else liking it? What's going on? And I'm very fortunate in the sense that I can now design or redesign something for what I like. I don't do it for other people.
Right.
And other people will like it. So you would see me use a lot of black. And then when I first started, people were like, oh, black's a bit too strong. You can't have black furniture and this and that. Nah, it works all day, every day.
Right.
And I do stuff to stand out because there's no point doing what everybody else is doing because you're just going to blend in. Do you, first and foremost. But you must market you. You must market that product. If you're not marketing it, it's not going to sell. And selling is what it's all about, really and truly. It's not about the creativity. And I know that's harsh to say. It's about the selling.
No, it's true.
Not about the creativity, because you can be as creative as you want. You ain't going to sell jack. Yeah?
Knowing your market is so important. And one thing I want to touch on before we go is you saying how you created what you wanted to create and people loved it. And I think there's something that goes to say with when you create something that you love, there are going to be people out there that are attracted to your passion for one, but for two that like what you like as well. So as much as you want to create to a market, don't forget yourself within that market that you're creating to. Like, don't flop and change just to sell. Do you know what I mean? Because it's going to be hard for you to be creative at the end of the day. So
all day, every day. But you always go by what you like. And I say to people, you should follow your second brain, which is your gut. When you have a gut feeling about something, when you create something that's nice, then that's you. That's a piece of you. So what you've got to do with that piece of you is nurture it, make sure it gets photographed in the correct way, put it in front of the right people, and that's it. Happy days. Because people are going to feel that same creative juices. They're going to create that. They're going to feel that flow that you've created. And I would say, as creators as well, we got to get cleverer with the pictures. I've seen some people's work. Woo!
100% agree.
I like.
100% agree.
Like, really? Like, how much are you charging for that? And that's the picture you've taken? Nah. You got to create it where it just looks like, bam, and create
visually appealing.
Visually appealing, but create that style, a distinctive style that people would say, that's you. I'm known as the guy that puts one button on a chair or paints one leg. Some people think I'm lazy, but it's the thing that will get people talking.
Right.
I mean, it's like, oh, he just paints one leg and that's it. And he charges like £250 for that chair. Really? Like, yeah, no, I got to see that. And then people look at it and like, wow, it looks all right though, doesn't it?
Kind of nice,
Yeah, but I'm not going to pay £250 for it. Yeah, but there is some people that buy that.
Right. Elevated creativity. Well, Jay, thank you. I feel like we could talk forever and ever and ever.
Yes.
But thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for everyone that's still here.
It's a long time.
And thank you for your time. We really, 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 really appreciate it. It'll be good to have like another talk, an in-depth talk that we can kind of have a one-to-one with people as well. Like, that would be great to ask you questions. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you. It's been lovely.
No, thank you. And I love, how come you've got the backdrop? You take pictures then?
I'm a photographer. We should talk. I'm a photographer and videographer as well. So we should talk.
You're always on the hustle, Tori. Always on the hustle.
No, you've got to be on the hustle. You got it.
Yeah.
We'll talk. What you on? Yeah. Get my number. Let's talk.
We will.
Yeah, because you've got the backdrop there. That means you're serious in your craft.
Yes, I am.
I would use it a bit more closer to this window that's on your right side.
Do you know what? Yeah, just to say, I actually can't. There's actually no room for it to move over. Trust me, I figured out all the places, but I've got another one.
Why can't you get a tripod there? Bring it forward. Why can't you bring a tripod and bring it forward?
We'll talk.
Okay.
We'll chat.
Okay, all right.
So just from Accumulate, Jay, and thank you so much for giving this time. I know you're super busy with filming on the repair shop, which obviously everybody here is addicted to. And really, I want to also thank you for sharing your story, because it really does mean a lot to the people on this call and within Accumulate to know how to sort of flip your life around, and that resilience, which is so needed to make that first and that next step to wherever that's taking. So brilliant, thank you. And hopefully, Accumulate, you can do some stuff together. My dad always said, don't be shy, don't be proud. I'm not. I'm going to ask you now. Everybody's witnessed it. Right, we're going to get you involved.
I will be involved. Once we come out of this lockdown, I've got 5 charities that I'm an ambassador for at the moment. But yeah, it would be nice to be involved in some way, shape or form. But also, I think the resilience is all about teamwork. And what you've created here is a really beautiful support mechanism that everybody can fall back on, because when you've got someone who has been through the same kind of issues that you've been through, and then you can see where they've gone and how they've got there, and just that support is what we all need. So really and truly, like, that, don't underestimate what you've created. You've created something really, really beautiful. And it's so beautiful. It's not even an event, it's a destination. So keep that destination moving. Okay?
All right. Thank you so much. Okay,
No
we're now going to, thank you, and thank you, Tori, as well. We're going to move on to the scholarships, which I know a lot of you have been waiting for. And we're going to have, there's a number of scholarships this year, and we've had more people apply than ever for the Access course. So we're going to start, first of all, with Ruth Keach. And I'm just going to say that Ruth has been a long-standing supporter of Accumulate and has supported our scholarships, I think, since 2017. So this is year 3 we're going for now. So really, thank you, Ruth, and over to you.
Well, thank you, Maurice, and everyone today. It's been such a moving experience, and you know, we're still here. There's tears and smiles, and you know, it is wonderful to give to this program. So the Keep Family Awards, we have 2 of them, and we'd like to help a couple of your clients to gain this wonderful experience with an Access to Higher Education course at Ravensbourne. And the first one I was told to make this look like the Oscars, but entering the envelope isn't that easy. So, winner of the first award is Prosper Kuaya.
Yeah,
Well done.
Oh, where's
Prosper? He's here, he's here.
And while we're waiting,
He's there, but he's muted. Williams, he's PK469.
Okay. Yep. Found him.
Yes, Prosper.
Well done, Prosper.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm proud for it. It was not easy to achieve this goal. What to say? For me, it's a dream. It's a dream which come true. I think I can. That's what I can say. I want to say thank you to Accumulate and his founder Maurice for this opportunity they give me to start a new life, a new career. I want to say new career after my some difficult I had in my past in my country. I think now when I arrived in this country, I was so depressive. I was so stressful. I didn't want to do anything because of what I have done in my country and this sort of persecution I had here. But when I started work with Accumulate, every week we just have a different session about photography, collage, a lot of things. I saw that I can do something new. I can start a new life. Also, I would like to say thank you to Ravensbourne University, because when I applied, I didn't know that I do something like that, but I just go. But when I started to give the information and I started to have conversation, a discussion with a different staff of this university, I saw that I have something to share. I saw that I have a dream. I can now started writing a new page of my life, a new step of my life. That I want to say thank you everyone. Thank you for that. I think that is a new dream, a and I'm ready for that. Thank you.
Well done, Prosper.
Well done. Thank you, Prosper. It's a real pleasure. And the second award is going to Mitchell Sini.
No way. Thank you so much. I can't believe that. I'm really, really like surprised because I don't know. I don't really feel like I've been the most consistent attendee for all of the things, all of the different workshops. But I've enjoyed all of the ones that I've took part in, and yeah, this is just, I don't know. This past sort of year, my life's just been getting a bit more stable. Been homeless for a couple of years. Then I've been in a hostel for a year. Finally moved somewhere like where I've got my own room now. Feel like I'm getting more stable. So hopefully this is like me heading in a more what's the word, constructive direction. But yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate this this that you've given me. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to move to Ellie, but I just wanted to say that these scholarships actually cover like the tuition fees for the individual, plus a little bit extra, which normally would be for travel, but we're going to work out what that little bit extra will be paying for this year if we're still in lockdown. But really huge thanks to all the donors. Now over to Ellie Rees from Brickworks London.
Hi everyone. Just to reiterate, Luke, Amalia and Jade, yeah, very difficult and emotional stories to listen to, and I'm sure very difficult and emotional to tell, but really important that they're heard, so thank you. As Jay said, it's very humbling. I know Maurice from art school. You might not believe this, I used to be completely terrified of her. She was really scary. And now I just love her. My own journey to art school and into the creative industries was really easy and really privileged and very conventional. And so now that I am able, it's my absolute pleasure to be able to help somebody whose journey might be harder than mine was. So thank you, Maurice, for involving me in the Book of Homelessness and Accumulate, because it's just so brilliant. So the Brickworks London award is going to go to Ola.
Ola!
Who I hear is super talented.
Thank you.
I'd really love to meet you and see your work in person.
Yes. I'm really choked up by everyone's story still. So I'm just trying to process everything. But, you know, you guys have been a godsend throughout coronavirus, because this would have been quite a dark time for me. But having the workshops and the art kits and stuff, it's just those like distractions to just say, okay, let's just go a little further and, you know, just keep believing for now.
Congratulations.
Now we've got another, thank you Ellie, and thank you Ruth so far and the Keach family, but we've got another scholarship which is coming from Sue Heng from Hawkins Brown's Architects, who brilliantly just this week closed an auction to help raise the money for this scholarship. So over to you, Sue.
Hi everyone. Yeah, as everyone's been saying, it has been really touching to hear everyone's stories, and it's been amazing also to have actually worked with some of you as well to create artwork. So I'm constantly inspired by how creative you are, and all these weekly workshops that are going on. It's incredible, especially during this hard time at the moment. So yeah, I'm honoured to present the Hawkins Brown Scholarship, which I've got in this envelope. I've been told not to open it until now. So Marie's hand delivered it to me yesterday. So the scholarship will be going to Nicole DeHaan.
Nicole!
Amazing.
Oh my God, thank you guys!
Can you hear me? Thank you so much. I'm so overwhelmed right now. Oh my God, thank you. Accumulate has been a part of my life. I've been with you guys, I think about a year now, almost a year. And it's been the best decision I've ever made. They've been there for us during this lockdown. And I don't think without them, I would have made it. And not just that, learning new skills, doing new arts. And I thank you guys for the scholarship. I'm overwhelmed, I can't hardly talk, but thank you.
Well done, Nicole.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you, God, I'm so overwhelmed, thank you.
Right, and we have one more. So James Board, who's the chairperson of the Accumulate Board and actually was the person who instigated the relationship between Accumulate and Ravensbourne University London, is going to give the final scholarship of the day, all the way from, I think, Mallorca, aren't you, James? No?
It is, I'm afraid, yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yeah.
I'm trying to get reception on a balcony, so hopefully. But yeah, so hello. I feel like I'm coming from the Eurovision Song Contest, and the votes are coming in from España. But firstly, I just wanted to say it's been interesting. I think lots of us during lockdown, weddings, special birthdays have all been delayed because the physical world has sort of come to a stop in a certain sense. And normally this time of year, we'd always be packed into some gallery space, which was normally boiling hot, and people, as you said before, Maurice, at the Guardian threw us out because there was too many people. But I think one of the nice things about this is we're having this amazing event online. It's great that Jade came to share his experience. It's very good that we've all heard lots of participants' experience in a space where perhaps we wouldn't have been able to understand it or to appreciate it as much as such a big environment. But I think the thing we've all got to look forward to is the physical world, which will start to reopen soon, and when we have the book launch and things like that. So all the participants are here. You've got perhaps 2 or 3 events to look forward to in the future, where we're only able to award a few scholarships today, and we'd like to award a lot more, and hopefully in the future lots of people will give us lots more money, and we'll be able to have a lot more awards, and a lot more of you will go through. But as Jade pointed out, and all the other speakers today, you've all overcome such a huge amount of personal experience just to attend on a weekly basis. And I think that moving forward, you just need to think about the positive things which you've gained from the lockdown, how you've reflected and how you've moved forward, and take it to future events. And I know that Maurice, Williams and Tori, as your tutors, will all be there in the future to support you as you go through. So it is sad that we're only able to award this amount of scholarships, but we will be hopefully in the future awarding more, depending on our brilliant donors who donate to us. So sadly, I don't have an envelope to open, but Maurice has sent me an email. So if I could show you that, I can't because I'm holding my phone at the same time. So it's my great privilege to announce the final award goes to Anne Wyman, if Anne is there for us. Can we see Anne?
I'm here. Hi.
Congratulations, Anne. It's nice to meet you.
It's so nice to meet you too. Thank you so. I'm in shock. I'm shaking right now. Sorry. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everybody. My story, like Jay said, it's been a wild one, definitely. With a heroin addict, recovery now. Got deported, had to start my life completely over, and doing it, I wouldn't have been able to do it without the help of everybody here. So thank you, and I'm so excited and blessed.
Thank you. Well done.
Great. Well done. Well done.
Okay, so that's it. That's it for another Accumulate year. Huge thanks, obviously, to all the sponsorship scholarship sponsors, and obviously all of you for being here. But of course, most of all, to the Accumulate students who have taught us all today far more than we could have ever taught them. I mean, I am truly humbled, and as you can see, I was crying my little eyes out. There's obviously some, they're not so little, but they've got bags under them because I've been working hard. But there are some people I really do have to thank for today and for Accumulate. And the main people are Tori and Williams, who've had to put up with me nagging like the whole week, like literally texting at 11 at night, 5 in the morning. Have you done it yet? Have you done it yet? And all the other tutors, Medea, Sue, Henny, Joanna, all amazing. Oscar for helping, Heather and Emma, all the Accumulate students, the student helpers. There's Ben and Tiana on the call, the Accumulate board. I've got a list here. It's my Oscar moment, right? Okay. the Art Kit volunteers who carried everything, took everything across London, Autograph and Shoreditch have lent us their space. Everyone's donated to the crowdfunder, Prep for the lunches, AHMM who've also supported us, and all the other funders, including Nesta, the RSA, the Morris Trust, Crisis, Land Aid. You know, we've had quite a bit of money that's come in to help us this year. And so thank you to all of you, and we really, really do appreciate all of it. And also, my husband's just come in to say, don't forget to thank the husband and the family. Okay, I'm thanking them too, because our house is taken over with that stuff, with the Accumulate stuff. So thanks, everybody. If you want to donate, you can donate to us on the Just Giving page, but really, thank you for being part of this fantastic journey, and congratulations to all the Accumulate students on what they've achieved. All right, that's it, lunchtime. Bye.
Wait! Before everybody goes, I want to take a selfie with everybody. So I want everybody to give me big smiles. So I'm gonna take a selfie. I'm gonna unmute everybody as well. So give me 1 second. This is all new for me. So everybody.
Yeah, can you download the files, all the chat as well? Yeah. Don't know how to do it.
Alright, so I'm gonna do one page at a time. So everybody give me a big smile.
Congratulations, everyone.
Big smile.
Hello, Ben. Hello, Tiana.
Hello.
Yeah, how are you?
Guys, we're smiling at the moment. We're smiling at the moment. Don't get
Bye. Thank you, everybody. Thank
Williams,
you.
we can't even hear you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.